Hi everyone, my name is Tara Arnold. Welcome to my channel, and tonight I'm going to be discussing Ascension symptoms. Up to this point, it is now February 12th, and we had at the beginning of this year on January 1st, the Ascended Masters had told me that we're integrating new frequencies that were being brought into the planet, or onto the planet, on January 1st, and we'd be integrating them for 40 days. So that would have ended on February 10th, and they want to let you know that there's a lot of the first wave light workers, or the white light workers, that have been purging and clearing and transmuting for the past well, I don't know, 9 years or so, and really your whole life. But the frequencies for your biggest fears, a lot of people watching, their biggest fears, they didn't have the frequencies to transmute those fears back to love. So they kept creating those fears in their reality, but they just didn't have the frequencies within them, within their, you know, spiritual body's consciousness to be able to transmute that back to love. And those are the frequencies that were brought onto the planet from January 1st till now. So a lot of you are getting these big, huge things that your biggest fears or your biggest blocks are showing up now. And it almost feels like we're going backwards, but we're not. Just have faith, keep moving ahead. As those fears come right in your face, because they're not gonna be going anywhere but right in front of you. Just let go, surrender, face it. You now have those frequencies to transmute those fears back to love. And he's showing me, like Saint Germain's showing me, that a lot of people are kind of, it's like you're tapping into those past lifetimes and transmuting those as well, those deepest fears. So it almost feels like dark night of the soul again for some. Just hang in there. It's just going to be, things will shift. And once you face those biggest fears, and now that you have the energy frequencies within you to be able to transmute those back to love, things will get a lot easier after today. I also wanted to mention that dreams, like using your dreams to help you transmute, is a really good tool. You can just ask your spirit guides to help you. So say that right now your biggest fears are coming right to the surface, and it's, say, maybe fear of poverty, or fear of lack, or being alone, or fear of, you know, not having enough, or I don't know, there's several fears. There's a lot of people that are going through, you know, breakups with their spouses, so relationships, so there's like fear of being alone, or people that are having financial difficulties where they feel like they're losing everything in their life, everything, you know, their homes or whatever it is. So you can, as you're transmuting these fears back to love, you can ask your spirit guides for assistance by coming to assist you while you're sleeping. And the way it works is just put it out there, just put the intention that you'd like some assistance to transmute those fears back to love during sleep state instead of wake state. Because in wake state, things seem more real, but everything's energy, and whether you're asleep or awake, it's an illusion of reality. So everything in your wake state, you're projecting energy out in front of you for where you're vibrating at. It's reflecting back to show you where your vibration is, if you're in love or fear. So if you're in sleep state, you could have those fears come to the surface, and it's not, it doesn't appear as real, because we believe that sleep state isn't real, but we believe that wake state is. But they're both the same. They're both a projection of where you're vibrating at, reflecting back to you. So as these big, huge fears are coming up to the surface, so maybe, you know, if you have a fear of being alone and you're going through a relationship thing right now, and you just don't have the strength to face that you have to leave the situation, or that there's a breakup coming, for example, or finances where you're going to lose everything you own kind of thing. You can ask your spirit guides to come and help you at night, and what they'll do is they'll wake you, you'll have a dream that will trigger those fears, and then your spirit guides will wake you up so you can feel that feeling of being in that deep fear, of facing that fear, and then it instantly gets transmuted. You just have to surrender. It feels very intense, and a lot of you watching have already done this or are doing this, but for those who don't do this, you can add this to one of your tools to transmute or get through these ascension symptoms a little bit easier. So as soon as you wake up, you'll feel whatever chakra is blocking. So if it's powerlessness, you'll feel it in your solar plexus, and it'll be intense. Just say, I surrender to this, transmute it back to love, and as soon as it lets go, you'll be back asleep. You won't even remember falling back asleep. They'll put you right back to sleep. So that's one way you can work with your spirit guides to help transmute things that you don't really want to face in wake time. You can face it in sleep time and transmute it then. I found that tool really helpful. But I just want you to all know that they keep reassuring me that all the delicious stuff that we're all hoping or wishing or manifesting to come into a reality, it is coming. So just keep having faith. I know this is a rough time at the end of what seems like a long road, but for many of you, things will shift rather rapidly. The ones that have been kind of in the state of purging and clearing for a long time. And for others, there's others watching that are just starting to awaken or starting their ascension process, and that dream tool can be helpful for you as well. So when you're faced with something in your wake state, in your reality, what you perceive to be your reality, that you need to purge and clear from other lifetimes, your spirit will start creating situations throughout the day to trigger those fears so that you can transmute them back to love. But when we're in wake state, we go into our ego and we say, oh, I don't want to deal with that, and so we bury it, and then the same fear will come up, and then we bury it and the same fear will come up. We just don't want to face it. But if you say, okay, I've noticed a pattern, I keep running into somebody that is having relationship problems, or I come home and I'm terrified of or jealous or terrified my spouse will leave me or is cheating on me, or if you have these constant fears coming up throughout the day or throughout the week, then you'll know, oh, this is a big one that's coming up from past lives that I need to transmute back to love so I don't keep recreating it, because it's going to keep getting recreated until you transmute it. So for the second wave light workers, this is what you're coming into, is the beginning of this transmuting. So when you do realize what these fears are, ask to have it done in sleep state or just surrender to it. Know that it's a lot of your past lifetimes that are happening now, because time's not linear. We see it as linear, but all your past lifetimes are happening now. Those fears are coming up to be loved. They're not coming up to be resisted. And as you love them with your consciousness, you transmute those fears back to love, and you'll stop creating those same fears in your reality. So Saint Germain's saying, if you look back to childhood, what situation did I keep creating? You might have had a friend that kind of bullied you, and then so the next best friend bullied you, and then your boss bullied you, and your teachers bullied you, and your spouse bullies you. So it's this pattern. That's what's going to keep get created until you surrender and transmute, allow it, love it, transmute it back to love. You're transmuting it from your consciousness. There's nothing you have to do. You just have to open and be the conscious love that it's seeking, because everything from the ego's consciousness as well. So everything that's coming from the ego fears has just forgotten its love. So the ego consciousness was created from the one divine energy. So the ego is love, and it just forgot it is. So fear is love, that is forgotten, it is love. So if you love it, it'll transmute back to love. You'll stop creating all these bumps in the road or all these big fears, and you'll start to live a life of joy and happiness. So I wish everyone the best here. We're all on this journey together, and if anybody wants to share or put comments or have any advice for anybody, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear you know, your advice and any knowledge, or if you do videos too, you can put in the comments how to find you and your videos to help with the ascension process or awakening process for others to be able to find you. So you can put your link in below. And I'd like to say I appreciate everybody that's come and subscribed and has liked and has shared these videos. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.